So, I mean, we're all aware that technology in the modern age has been phenomenal in terms of the developments that we enjoy. I mean, cell phones and all sorts of things that are part and parcel of daily life. But when you break it down historically, you're able to sort of identify distinct epochs, if you like. And so when mechanical energy was harnessed using steam, or steam energy was harnessed to develop mechanical power and machinery and so on, in the 1700s, that was the first industrial revolution. And about 100 years later, electricity was discovered and was made use of. And then we were able to do mass production and so on. And that's in the 1800s. Then you had the second industrial revolution. And these, of course, happening in Europe. And then, of course, about 100 years later, 1969, some people like to say, there was the birth of the digital revolution. And you had, the birth of the transistor. And quickly thereafter, you had personal computers coming on board and so on about a couple of decades later. And so now, barely 50 years on from that point. So you notice that the other industrial revolutions have a gap of 100 years between them, but about 50 years after that, which is pretty much now, we find that there's a merger of the digital revolution, all these others that I've described, and also very importantly, biotechnology, which is huge. In terms not just of the pharmaceutical industry, which is in everybody's mind because of what's just been happening with COVID, but lots of other angles, biomimicry, imitating nature because of how efficiently nature manages to do things. And so that merger of all of this and artificial intelligence, robotics, and all these technologies, molecular biology, are what are being now described as a fourth industrial revolution. And it's very important for us on the continent. It's important for everybody. But on the continent, we're looking at the yawning gap, if I may say, that's been stretching even before, like since the African countries broadly got independence in the 60s, we've been playing catch up in a lot of ways. We haven't got those national innovation systems that I've been mentioning earlier to be able to really harness what our own unique innovations and so on have been and make them relevant. And now we're having this hugely rapid pace of change. One person put it this way, that technology has never changed as fast as it's changing right now in the history of man. And it's not likely to be this slow in the future again. In other words, that pace of change will carry on increasing.
Wow.
And so the question for us is, how do we keep abreast of this? Is there ways in which we can leapfrog? And we have seen with cell phone technologies, for example, that we can leapfrog in certain ways. And looking for those angles is critical. And for me, that's why I would say it's very important to understand that context, the context within which we're trying to do this nebulous thing called development.